Welcome, my friends. You're on Mavs Coffee Clarity with Denise DiGrigoli. Every week, we're spilling the beans, a show designed to help you move forward in work, love, and life. Who doesn't need that? If you just found me, welcome. And if you're a regular, welcome back. This is where I interview some fascinating people, mavericks in their own right. All walks of life, knowns to unknowns, creative thinking, forward-thinking people that found silver linings in their fiascos and life's challenges. We're unedited, authentic, like coffee with a friend. Stories that you can trust, and we're always infused with humor. Taped live here in my studio in Fairfield, Ashley Falls, Sheffield, Mass, and on Zoom. Thanks for listening, subscribing, liking, and sharing. And to find out more about me and my creative counseling, visit DeniseDiGrigoli.com, but do it after the show because we've got some really great stuff today. As you know, I always start with a mindful maverick moment. And here's where a lot of my clients are right now. So many people are asking me about time management. Now, even though I do a lot of business strategy and creative consulting, this is a topic that's just driving everybody nuts. So in the show notes, you're going to see all 9 bullet points. But I'm going to start with the 3 out of the 9 common time robbers. Number 1, letting that unruly mind chatter or negative self-talk run your day. You know it. You've got it. You've felt it. You've denied it, but it is running your day. It's that mindless autopilot that just scorns and shames you and, chats up your mind, and it's not productive. It's challenging to let it go, but when you're mindful, you can get there. One for me has always been living too far in the future and too far in the past. So I'm really working on every day, and hopefully you're finding that in this show, how to live in the present. Also, chasing shiny objects and trying to be everything to everybody. Those are my top 3. There's 9 in the show notes, but I want to move along because somebody that's going to back up my mindful maverick moment is one of my long-time friends who actually was transformational in helping me get my back and body limber and straight. So I want to introduce to you somebody super fascinating. Welcome to the pod. And we're going to have this on YouTube. And hopefully he's going to be a regular guest. Robert Ortner. He has a unique approach to the science and art of yoga with the phrase, we are all our own best teachers. I can tell you honestly, I didn't think I could do yoga. I am, if you haven't noticed, a little hyper in my approach to life. And my trainer at the time recommended me to go to his class. And I thought, oh, this guy is so unique. He actually talks through his class. He made it relevant, real, and specific at the same time to those of us that were in the class. 25 years of studying with the best. You're going to find his website and his contact information also in my show notes. Robert Ortner, thank you, my friend. Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm so glad that you've come.
Yes.
And we've made this little tiny space work. We can make anything work.
Yes.
So the truth is, you were on my prior show on Hand Network a few times, and it was spectacular. People loved you because you brought the simplicity of what can be viewed as a complicated subject.
It's been made complicated.
It's been made complicated, right?
Yeah.
Never mind the bazillion-dollar Lululemon pants.
Well, anything that gets popular.
Yeah,
And
well,
it
that's
starts to
true.
become like, well, I have it, and the market share gets involved. I don't want to get on a soapbox about that.
That's like episode 4.
Yeah. or when it's actually relevant. But for the most part, it's like my entire attitude about this practice has settled way down.
Gotta come closer.
I will say this right off the bat. I'm not poking holes at any other style, any other modality in regards to yoga. But let me just start with this. I'll say it this way. We can get through a healthy life without the bombastic, sweating our head off, all this kind of stuff.
Music to my ears. I don't have to be bombastic anymore.
Or just like, working yourself to the point of potential injury and exhaustion and trying to stay up with something that you're like, okay, I'm really not having any fun here. But so you can get through life without that. But what you can't get through life without is the ability to shut off, to be calm, to be soft, quiet, peaceful, and easy, right? Without those things, when do you turn down? When does it stop? Most of the population, I would argue, and I've come from this place, so I know what I'm talking about. Most of the population are dealing with ingrained habitual stress. Habit is anonymous by definition. So you're carrying it everywhere you go. So like when I say to people, your back problems, for example.
I told them about my back problems before the show.
Wouldn't you agree that you take your back problems everywhere you go, into everything you do?
They're nasty bags. They're nasty.
So when I do certain things, like I do a lot of what I call jokingly public service poses, where we work on abdominal strength and things like that. And I'll have people do something as simple as just lift their leg. And half the room is complaining, and I hate this, and blah, blah, blah. And I says, well, show me a time when you haven't carried that leg around with you everywhere you go.
Right.
So just by lifting up your leg.
Let's lift it. Now, we're doing a special segment today, my friends. This is on YouTube. We're taping it, and we're podcasting from the floor.
So anybody who's
Here's
watching
my leg
this,
up.
okay, don't hold it.
Don't hold it.
Yeah, bring it closer to the floor.
Okay, bring it closer to the floor.
But the point is, start to notice what it takes to hold your leg up. So why on earth is this relevant? Well, this is the anatomy, first of all, of every step you've ever taken, but it's also you can't climb the stairs without this, right?
I know.
All right, so again, it seems abstract. It's like if we find suddenly that this is a real problem,
right?
Every time you move your leg, that problem is there. So we can run from it, which is what normally gets done.
Right.
But it's not going to help. And what happens is when we're not remedying deficits in our harmony, right? Our body, our range of motion.
We just have to stop with that visualization. Remedying deficits in our harmony. Yeah. Wow.
Because a healthy body
is your harmony.
Is in harmony. Your flexibility, thus your strength ratios, which are in constant motion. And it's like if that stuff isn't working correctly, it's starting to create backups.
Is this for everybody?
Everybody.
Doesn't matter shape, size, age, nothing.
Right, so
everybody.
Here's just a quick one.
Okay.
Krishnamacharya, his son Desikachar wrote a book about him called, it wasn't Light on Yoga, that's the Iyengar book, but there was another one, something light on yoga. Anyway, there was a picture in there of Krishnamacharya, who was this little slight man, right?
Yeah.
But he was a monster in regards to what he brought to yoga. But anyway, there's a picture of him working with somebody who's in a shoulder stand who looked like a sumo wrestler.
Wow.
And the difference in their sizes was comical.
Right.
Right. So the reason I bring that up is not to criticize anybody.
We love
yoga
everybody.
is for everyone.
Everybody.
That shows you that this guy was in this position. He was getting. Now, I'm not saying that we should take certain people into shoulder stands or things like that. I'm just trying to put it out there like it's available, the movements.
We want everybody on this show to know you can do these movements.
You can do the movements that I present. I don't generally do shoulder stands or any of that other stuff anymore.
Well, thank you.
What I'm saying is, and I kind of that was a little bit of a disservice the way I said it. I was trying to make a point about bodies.
Right. No, we got it, though.
What I try to do for people is to give them the tools, starting with quiet, stillness, softness, right? All those words that we tend to view as weakness.
Quiet, stillness, softness,
peace, ease.
Peace. So even somebody that's really active like me, people don't believe I ever go quiet, but it is the key to my success. I'm quiet every morning for 1 to 9 minutes. Okay.
And that's something I would suggest everybody start to do. Even if you if you say to yourself, I don't have a chance, I don't have, all this stuff, go into the bathroom and close the door.
You can do it on your timer.
You can do it, yeah. The other thing, too, is you don't need, this is one of the pitfalls. People think that they need external perfection. I need quiet, I need the incense, I need all of this stuff.
I need all the trappings.
You don't need any of that.
Right. What do you need?
you need to just all right, everybody right now,
Everybody right now.
just close your eyes,
Okay.
unless you're driving, please.
Or cooking.
Or cooking. Yeah, yeah. And just sit up straight, stand up straight, but without stress.
Okay.
Let your body determine what straight up means at the moment. That's a whole other topic. We could do a whole class just on that.
That's episode 5.
So, yeah, probably. So now, relax your shoulders. Let your arms and elbows hang pleasantly heavy. Relax your face, your jaw, your tongue. All right? Now, just let your mind follow, keyword, follow your breathing rhythm. Now, what I just said was, don't let your mind start breathing for you. Your mind doesn't breathe. Your body breathes. Let the mind be observant. Now, maybe within 2-3 breaths, we're off on a tangent thinking about something. This guy's an idiot. Where did I leave my keys? Whatever the heck it is, right? But just come back to your breath. We're not trying to shut our mind off. We're not even trying. We're allowing calm through this process. If it doesn't happen right off the bat, let's say it's really elusive, really difficult, it may have a real strong momentum of giving into distractions.
You know how it helps me, because I'm always a doer, right? And in the work I do, I have to help everyone else do.
Mm-hmm.
I love the word observation, because it gives me not something to do, but something to observe. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, I don't know for our other listeners and our watchers, our viewers, but when I say, okay, you know what, I'm going to observe, it immediately clicks me into calm. Because now I know, for me, that word means I need to be attentive and observe.
Yeah, so your mind kind of went like this,
Yeah,
instead of being out here, and there's a place for this.
Right.
Driving is one of them.
Right.
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah. Let's keep the lens open when we're driving. No pun intended, daily drive. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that is like a simple thing. And if you do it for a week and you do it sort of on a regular basis, what can the listener, viewer expect? What do you hope they gain?
I think it's a bit of a trap.
It's a trap?
All right, here, I'm going to
We've given them a trap?
I'm going to give you one of my favorite quotes
by
one of my favorite people who's no longer with us. When Wayne Dyer said...
Oh, he was fabulous.
He left this place better than he found it.
For sure.
When he said, get off of outcome and get on purpose. Now, my students are so sick of me saying that.
But that's another good spill the bean. Get off of outcome, onto purpose.
Because no matter what you do, we have the outcome in mind. I want to go into the kitchen and get something, right? Make another coffee or whatever. That's the outcome.
Right.
Or that's that part of the process. You still have to get off the sofa and walk into the kitchen. I know I'm being a little ridiculous.
No, but I love the coffee metaphor. Thank you.
Everything applies to this. So now, the reason I'm saying it this way, in a yoga context, oh, my back, I heard if I start doing certain stretches and stuff like that, it's going to be good for my back. Yes, you have to come in and you have to say, first of all, forget about how long is this going to take. Because already it turns into a New Year's resolution. It's so padded that you can't succeed.
Right. I am so in a lock stock agreement with that.
Just be with it. Mm-hmm. And be with it now, right here. As you go through it, the body will start to feel more pliable, more open, things like that. That's the evidence of process. But you're still where you are. So let's just say...
Yes, that's another thing I need to remind myself. In the process, you're still where you are. Really important.
Yes, and some of the stuff that I study, personally, there's one line that really makes sense to me is the only action moment in your whole life is now. So now you could look at that as just a cliche phrase, but show me that it's not the case. You can't do anything any other time but now.
Right.
And that's why, like in modern parlance now, where, let's be in the moment and all that stuff, you've never not been in the moment.
Right.
But our distractions, our scrolling, our whatever the heck it is we're doing.
We wasted the moment sometimes.
Yeah, and it can breed frustration as well. So I kind of feel like I'm getting a little off the point here in regards to what I want to leave people with the first experience of this.
Okay, what is it?
If, like you had alluded to, maybe we can get something happening here where I can start to offer a process for people to have some very easy, very simple and easy things.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the trick is be on purpose and regularity. If you don't have regularity around something, regularity does not mean an hour a day. It could be 5 minutes.
Just had a guest on the other day, and she was talking about the difference between motivation and discipline. So your word is the same. It's regularity. It's a mindset of discipline. I'm not a fan of hardcore, structure. It's just not who I am. But I do value structure, and I value regularity, because I know in anything, whether you're building a business, you're building a family, you're educating yourself, or you're fixing your back with yoga, it's regularity.
Yeah.
It's regularity.
I also have a bit of an issue with the word discipline and what it's been hijacked into, because
Yes,
my
big hijack.
the root of the word discipline is disciple.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it as, this is something I'm passionate about, something I want to be adept at, I want to understand that, I want to do it, then become a disciple of that. It also ties into, I think, I talk a lot about love yourself, the love of self. If we combine all of these things with be on purpose, stop worrying about how long it's going to take and all that. So you're loving yourself enough to, I'm just going to sit with a particular light pose. Mm-hmm. So let's do something right now.
Yeah, let's do something. A light pose.
Take your far leg so you don't hit the next.
Right, my left leg, for those of you that can't see me, my left leg is straight.
I have my right leg because we're kind of a bookends.
We're in a triangle. Yeah, kind of.
So now, for anybody who can see this, I'm just going to mimic something. My right knee, my straight leg, my knee is lifting, and my other knee is lifting a little bit. And I'm also not able, I'm simulating tightness now. I'm not able to sit up straight. So sometimes in class, somebody will come in, and they'll sit down for the first time, and they'll be like, they're looking around at everybody else who seems to be perfect, which is not the case. And they're sitting there, and they're like, I can't even sit on the floor. All right? So this is the perfect lead-in for what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, some people cannot sit on the floor.
No, but it's now what happens is if I don't get a chance to talk to them, they bolt out of the room, and they're going to just exacerbate that until the point where they need a walker. All right.
Ooh.
I'm being a little melodramatic.
No, but I get it.
But here's the deal. Mm-hmm. When they sit when they're sitting and they're totally uncomfortable, in this context, I would go over to them. I'd put a block under their straight leg knee, and I'd put another block under the outer knee. I'd also either have them sit against the wall, or I'd have them lean back a little on their hands. Mm-hmm. Now, try that. Lean back
it's
a little
really
on
a little,
hands.
it's supportive.
Now, relax. Now, somebody will go, yeah, but I'm not doing anything, because they think getting down towards your foot is where you're supposed to go. No, that's not where you're supposed to go. There's nowhere you're supposed to go. We're sitting here listening to the body talk to us. Now, I'm going to also elaborate on that. Your body is the only teacher.
True.
The yoga
Facts.
teacher in the front of the room is not the teacher.
Right.
I'm the presenter. I'm taking my experience with the things I've studied, the things I've worked on with myself, and I'm giving them to people. But then I'm constantly telling them, are you listening to your body's pleasure or displeasure? Because if what you tune into and feel is not happy, then you're not doing yourself any favors. Mm-hmm. You need to sit. So right here, the way I've just described this. And what if you don't need the blocks? Okay, well then get rid of the blocks, sit up straight. You don't need your hands behind you. Now, feel this. Like I often say to people, if you take 5 minutes, try this someday. 5 minutes, put your phone timer on, then turn your phone over. No stimulation whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Sit at the kitchen table for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Your life will never be the same. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, because what'll happen is, if you pay attention to it, you might start seeing your frustration, your antsiness, your inability to just be quiet and sit. Right? I'm not criticizing.
He's only talking 5 minutes here.
5 minutes. For some people, that sounds...
That's only 300 seconds.
It can seem like a half an hour or an hour. But what'll happen is you just sit there and relax. You'll feel your body settling into the pose you're in. You were born in a yoga pose. You were going to leave this life in a yoga pose, not a technical pose. What I'm saying is, show me a time in your whole life you've never been in a position.
It's true. And for our podcast listeners, Robert's right leg is out. His left foot is in above his knee bone.
All right, so here, you can run commentary on this.
Okay.
So I'm sitting in this particular pose.
Yes.
And sometimes people, like, even with their hip, right? Say it, in this case, it's their left hip that's very tight.
Yeah.
So then they see me bring my heel up into the groin.
Right.
Or maybe sometimes we'll do the half lotus pose, right?
Be sure to look at this on YouTube.
So
right.
What'll happen is, like, I often say to people, start the pose with your, in this case, my left foot against my inner right ankle.
Make a diamond is what you used to say in class.
Well, no, yeah, So anyway, if I now bring my left foot up to my inner right knee,
yeah,
that was a knee bend, yes, but the knee couldn't bend without a hip revolve.
Right.
So the hip externally rotated enough to get my foot to my inner knee. But if you've got a tight hip, right away you're up like this, and your
knee goes up,
and now you're leaning back because you're too tight.
Right.
Then people start getting all aggravated, and they start getting frustrated, and I'm like, well, this isn't for me. Well, no, it is for you, but you need it to be where you could actually handle it with props, with everything else. And then starts the get off of outcome and get on purpose.
I've got to tell you that
just by sitting like this,
there's so many times I use your reference in classes I teach, and I say, you know, my yoga teacher used to say, don't look at your neighbor. Yeah. Do not look at your neighbor and the poses for you and how far you and your body can take it today. Yeah. Might be different tomorrow, might be different on the other side.
Well, it will be. It will be different tomorrow. Like when I used to teach 5 classes on Tuesday before the pandemic, I would start at 9:30 in the morning and I would end 7:30 class in the evening. Every one of those classes were different. My body was different because I had the day, I had the stresses of the day, I had transportation, I had teaching all those classes. So it's like what I'm getting at is your body is not going to perform this the same way. This is not a linear thing, so to speak.
I'm going to try my other leg now.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Evening things out.
Yes.
There's a lot to say about all of this stuff, so I'm just trying to.
We're giving you a general overview today, my friends. We just want you to be familiar with the practice of yoga and what it isn't and what the values people have assigned to it. And the reason why I like Robert is because he makes it relevant to everybody, right? And that everybody can do something simple just to drop down into the moment and stretch their body only to what their body can do for today. Do I have that right?
Yes, and they'll know that by listening to their body in real time.
Not looking at your neighbor.
And, you know, sometimes we can look at other people, get inspiration, or even see how some of the things that I sometimes say about stress and stuff, you can see it. It's easy to see stuff in other people.
Right.
And we can use that constructively to learn from, not to criticize, and then to feel things in ourselves. It's...
So if you were a regular practitioner of yoga or a complete newbie, and I know you've changed some of the approach, well, you haven't changed, you've evolved into a different mindset in how you share, making this really great for everybody. What do we want our guests to know today that they can do right now?
Okay.
Other than the mindful minute we sat with.
Yeah. And the cool thing about the mindful minute is when you're sitting in a yoga pose.
Right.
Or I should rephrase, when you're sitting with your body in whatever position it's in, like I said about the kitchen table, that's why I use that analogy. That's a perfect time to find your quiet again. Because if you're sitting there or in a yoga pose, I've had people in class texting and sending emails.
What?
They shouldn't even be in class.
Why are they doing that?
Because either, who knows why they're doing that?
Wow.
I've had people literally, anyway. The point is,
that should be a yoga demerit.
Make the pose that you're in. You've taken the time, even if it's just 1 minute.
With a block and you're supporting your leg.
Yeah. Or you're just sitting, like if you sit with your back up against the wall. So back to your point before. If you sit with your back up against the wall, and anybody who sees this video-wise, just imagine I'm sitting against the wall. So if somebody comes in and they're really tight in the back of their legs, their lower back, their glutes, all these things, and the hips as well, Maybe their knees are up a little bit. Even if they're sitting against the wall, they're like, and then they look at other people and they're like, well, his knee's on the floor. Yeah, that's him. Don't worry about it. You want his car payments? You want his headaches? No, you don't. Right? The point is, just relax. Because gravity is pushing you down anyway. Right? In a sense. So we just relax. And over time, well, how much time? I don't know. Anyone who tells you how long this is going to take, go find somebody else.
Right.
It's not possible.
No, because everyone is unique.
All right, so let me tag that. When I get a room full of people in front of me, and I remind them that everything in their life is sitting here with them. All their axes to grind, all their joys, all the things that they're stressed about, it's all with them.
Right.
Because you don't leave, if we could leave that anywhere we want and be peaceful, we wouldn't have this conversation.
No, and there'd be no world war.
Yeah, don't get me started.
There'd be no world war at all.
So now, to sit against the wall, you could either sit with your legs straight out.
Okay, friends, you're going to put your back against the wall and sit with your legs straight out. Mm-hmm.
And what you would do is you would just sit.
Just sit.
And follow your breath again and listen. Like I used to say, scan your body. I don't say that anymore because in some cases it can be a little overwhelming because there's so many things to look for.
Right.
Next thing you know, you're thinking, well, I don't like my toes. I got to do this. My knee hurts. Right. Instead, I sit, and this is how I do it. I just sit and I let my body present to me what it needs me to know. If my neck feels fine, I don't need to focus on my neck.
Right.
But if my neck is bothering me, I sit with it. And again, I'm trying to restrain myself in regards to detail. It's like discomfort in our bodies, which will come when we listen to the feelings, or if it's there, right?
Right.
Those are symptomatic sensations. We label pain and we start telling stories about, oh my God, and then you think my grandmother had this.
Yeah.
Well, that's your grandmother. Listen
oh
to
God,
your
did I need to hear
body.
you say that today?
Yeah. But see, that's how volatile this can be.
Yeah, no.
Where it's like our mind races off. And when you have a notion about something, that notion can download something the size of War and Peace in a millisecond. Can it?
Oh my, you know what?
You
There's no chance coincidence we needed to sit together today. I'm not even kidding you. I mean, I was assigning all of the back woes in my back to the fact that my grandmother had arthritis in her back, and I'm sure I have arthritis in my back, and
right,
all
you have to do,
I'll never ski again.
if you listen to the general ideas from somebody like Dr. Bruce Lipton, who talks about epigenetics and things, you are not your grandmother's back.
I know.
That's as far as I'm going to take that right now.
That's episode 7.
And you could check him out on YouTube. He's a brilliant guy. Anyway, so if we sit, in this case now our legs are straight, and we're letting our body open up to this by just relaxing.
I have to move my seat
all right?
so I can get here.
Then the next thing I would say is you can take either foot. Put the sole of that foot against the straight leg, the other leg.
Yeah.
Now do it down by the ankle. Now relax your legs a second and give it a chance, right? When something is simple, we tend to discount the value, but think about it. Every big fancy...
Another spill the beans. When something is simple, we tend to discount.
Yeah, we do.
And that's
because
everything in life, my friends.
Yeah. So now everybody's seen a crazy yoga pose.
Right.
Which I don't do those, right?
We're not going to do them here.
20 years ago, yes, maybe. But right now, what I'm getting at here is every single big fancy thing is made up of dozens, if not hundreds, of simple little things.
Just like a house. It starts with a piece of
house.
wood.
If you don't deal with the foundational stuff, all the big stuff, like if you took the big crazy pose and say it's built off of 24 simple things.
Right.
If you took off 3 of those simple things, you'd have an injury.
Oh.
You wouldn't have the ability to do that pose.
Right.
So what we're dealing with here, like who here is so concerned with putting their foot behind their head, right?
No.
Oh, yeah, it'd be cool. Yeah, it'd be fun. All this kind. Yeah, it would be. Like, I don't do it anymore, but it was fun, yes. But do I need it in life? No. What I do need is to be able to pick up my keys off the floor when I drop them. Now, I can do that because I practice all the time. But a lot of people I work with, especially guys that come in, their wives either brought them in or the wife sent them, and they're kind of looking at me like, oh, what am I doing here? And I'll start talking about that. That's the stuff you need in life.
Just to pick up your keys.
You don't need to be able to do these crazy things. You need to be able to harmoniously function.
You don't need to do birds of paradise in some confangled, twisted frog lizard legs up behind I don't know where.
They're fun. And there's a lot of people that I know, a lot of my teacher friends, a lot of students that take the flow classes and take the Ashtanga and different things. And there's nothing wrong with any of that.
Right.
But I'm not speaking to that set.
No.
Although, let me just say this, and I don't mean to offend, but sometimes I'll have people come into my class and they get very frustrated at the pace of it and the subject matter, and it never seems to get anywhere because they're racing ahead. So some of these people, and I'm just...
He's talking about how I was in the beginning, my friends, but look now, 9 years later, we're still friends.
So now, let's just take a scenario. Somebody has a corporate gig, right?
Yes.
They're also, like many people in our culture, they're hypnotized into rushing everywhere.
There's another spill.
Right?
Yeah, spill the beans. Yeah. We're hypnotized into rushing.
We are.
Oh, gosh,
so what happens? They get up in the morning, rushing through, get out into the car, you do the chariot race to work.
Robbers of time.
All right? Yes. And now you're in the chariot race, you're bumper chasing to work. You get out, you run up into the office, right? And now all day long, it's this pacing thing that you don't even realize you've got a whip behind.
This is why my back is out.
But now they come to a class, which is, in my opinion, that scenario. They need what I offer. But they come in and they're totally frustrated and aggravated because I'm not sweating and I'm not jumping around.
You're not doing what they're used to.
I want to make it clear that I'm not discounting that. However, when you are in that state of, like, if you're on hypertension medication, the last thing you need is to go to that kind of class, at least until you're centered again and off the medicine.
Right.
You see, I mean, I'm just trying to, to play it all around here. So I'm not offending
my audience is exceptionally intelligent. They're following you. And if they don't, they'll be emailing me.
Okay. You know, I will.
They'll be asking.
I say to people in class a lot of times, I said, especially new people, and they're looking at me kind of like skeptically, and I'm like, make me prove my point. I'll prove it. I'll talk your ear off. I keep you here all night, right? The point is, it's just listen to what's really going on instead of what we think about.
Right.
You know, the yoga process, a lot of times people are like, oh, yoga, I don't need that crap, because they look at these pictures and they're not interested in that stuff.
Right.
But what they all need is to be able to be functional and harmonious in your body, the ratios between your muscle strength levels and your flexibility levels and all this. Now think also about another potential offense, how many times we alter our body, either overbuilding it or in yoga, overstretching it. And I was there.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. It's like, yeah. I mean, so I'm not trying to make this a nerve-wracking experience for anybody. What I'm saying is there's a lot more to, just don't assume. Don't
assume anything about yoga and probably nothing about your body until you listen to it.
Yeah.
And have an open mind when you approach something like this.
Like, all right, so think about it this way. Maybe a better way to tie it up. When we were in our teens, early teens, maybe even early 20s,
just a few years ago.
Things, because me at 67, it's kind of like.
Wait till you see Robert at 67 on the floor like he is. You'd never believe it. Anyways, go ahead. Fine, sir.
It just flew right on my head.
Because I called you 29. Good for you.
You know what? Would I like my 29-year-old body back? You bet. But would I want to trade who I've become?
No.
I'll take what I've got.
That's the weird thing life does to you, isn't it?
All right, so hold on. I keep distracting myself from where I was going. So now, you're up against the wall.
You're up against the wall.
Your back. So here.
Not in a negative fashion.
Yeah, no. Your back belt line.
Yeah.
Your shoulder blades.
Yep.
And the back of your head.
Okay, I'm doing it.
Up against the wall. But you're not rigid about it. You're sitting there relaxed. Right now, this is
pliable.
where I had said to be before. We had straight legs. I said, now bring one foot up the other inner leg and just listen. Is the body happy? If you find to where it's content, you can feel some energy of the body moving into this pose. Now relax. Give it the time to settle into the position you're already in. And this goes for everything. You get to work. You're sitting at work. Your shoulders are hiked up. You hung up the phone from the customer from hell, and now you're like this. What lets that go?
What lets it go? What is
Nothing
it?
lets that go.
Nothing.
Because we're not even aware it's there because it's the devil you know. It's sitting there.
Yeah,
We're so used to
repetition.
it.
The wrong repetition.
It's the bad habits.
Yeah.
So how do you fix that?
How do you fix it?
It's not going to happen like this.
Right.
It's going to take the time it takes. We need to just start to understand what our body's been trying to tell us through pain, stiffness, creakiness. Oh my God, it's hell getting old and all those things. No, it's not. What it is when we ignore the stuff that it's not going away and it's right there. And whether you ignore it or not, it's going to be there. And sooner or later, the bill's coming in the mail, so to speak.
Wow.
So it's the thing is, what I'm trying to hear, okay, I'm right now, and I say this to people all the time, at the age I'm at now, all right, so 67, I'm in training for my 75th birthday. That's my motivation here. Well, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Does that mean I want to do an Ironman? No, I have no interest in that personally. What I'm saying is when I get to my 76th birthday, I want to be as free and harmonious in my body as I am now, or maybe even a little better. Now, let me add to that. Sometimes
free and harmonious is the hashtags for today.
Find the ability to regain your peace, because we're all going to lose our peace. This culture, look at the culture.
Oh, I've been out of peace. I'm back in peace now, knowing you.
We're all likely to be upset throughout a given. Every day has its own stresses and so on, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to be able to regroup and come back. But another important thing I want to leave people with is sometimes what we're doing is we're arresting a problem where it is so it doesn't get worse. Now, that's the kind of the worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. But if you have a limitation through an injury or whatever, you do not want it to get worse. You don't want it to become totally limiting in your life. So what we can do is we can find ways of just stopping it where it is.
Pause.
We can.
Pause and reverse.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Sometimes reverse. Because how do we even know until we stop stressing it?
Peace and harmony.
Peace, harmony.
Peace
Quiet,
and harmony.
Softness.
I leave you with this, my friends. There were 2 episodes when Robert was on my prior show that were an hour long, and I think we're going to need to bring him back the next time for an hour because the wisdom and the wealth of knowledge that exudes is amazing. And I remember someone watching my show going, how is it that you two sat on the floor Indian style for so long? I said, you've got to know Robert. It is possible, right? You can find peace and harmony at any age. All right, give them your website.
It's xl-12.com. I also want to put a caveat on that. I have an issue with Apple and the redirect, so if you're using Safari, sometimes it may not open. I'm remedying that now, but
you can always find information about Robert on our show notes and with me, and he will be back, I hope. You know what? This has been a fabulous episode with you, Robert. Mavs Coffee Clarity with Denise DiGregoli. We have spilled so many beans. My gosh, and I'm sitting Indian style still on the floor loving it. If you want to know how to find better health in your body because you are the best teacher, you got to hang out with Robert. All right, peace out, my friends. Mav's got to get back to work.